one night only because our good friend Tommy Toy Travels isn't able to stream. So we thought we would jump in and help him out. So obviously Revolution is this weekend and he will be doing that show. We're not doing that show. He will be doing that show. So if you don't normally join Tommy Toy Travels, check out his channel. The community tends to hang out over there for these AEW streams. But he told me yesterday that he was actually out on a date, and so he wasn't able to do this stream. So I thought, well, I will jump in. I've got a couple of hours where I can do this. Honestly, I think Revolution doesn't look bad. I think the card, we went through it yesterday on the Wrestling Escape Pods. I don't think it looks bad. So there's a couple of things here that I think could be interesting. Just by chance, it turns out to be Sting's last Dynamite. So I don't know. I mean, we spoke the other day about Sting and kind of just how much Sting means to wrestling, how much Sting means to me, and the fact that I used to watch him when I went round like my grandma's house, and like, you know, Sting is someone very, very special. I think when it comes to Sting, tribalism goes out the window. It's really strange, but like Sting is just loved by everybody. I think even by WWE fans as well. Like, he's just loved. So no one wants Sting to have a bad evening on tonight or on Sunday. And as I said, you know, I've got nothing against AEW. I just think that their product has gone a little bit flat. I don't know where it is right now. I'm really looking forward to seeing if it's picked up in the coming up to, well, it's been 2 months, hasn't it, since we've been watching, or I've been watching. I have been listening during Tommy's live streams, so I feel like I'm still in the mix. I feel like I'm still aware as to what's going on. And actually, we did predictions for Revolution, and I was pretty much in line with Tommy. I was pretty much like where we needed to be. So I actually feel like, even though I've been away for 2 months, I feel totally fine with doing this live stream. I don't feel like I'm out my depth. I don't feel like I'm like, don't know what's going on, which is why I can jump in and take over. So it's a 1 week only thing. Don't get used to it. Don't go thinking that we're back. Don't go thinking that this is a regular thing. It's a 1 week only thing. And normally you will find these streams over on Tommy Toy Travels account. And as James rightfully points out, Sting has been in WCW, TNA, WWE, AEW, all of the major promotions. It's true. It's true. Maybe, I wonder if that's part of it. I don't know. I think there's to be honest, do you know what? I can't recall, and this is where people are going to go, oh no, he did this, he did this, he did this, right? I think part of it is I can't recall him trashing other promotions. I can't recall him ever trashing other promotions. He's always been someone that's kind of minded his own business, minded his own lane, kind of, you know, he's been focused on himself. He has obviously worked for, I do know that when it comes to WWE, there was a concern that he had. He felt concerned that he was not going to be treated quite right. His character wouldn't be treated right. And to be honest, I think a lot of WWE fans are like, yeah, you're probably right. You know what? You're probably not wrong. You know, Vince had shown that if he didn't create it, he was not very careful with it, shall we say, right? There are a lot of examples of things that he did not create, like the NWO, for example. If he didn't create it, then he's not too precious about it, right? Something like The Undertaker. I mean, The Undertaker's going to be booked perfectly, right? The Undertaker is going to be looked after. But something like the NWO, something like, I don't know, Scott Steiner or anyone like that, Invasion from WCW, you could understand Sting looking at that going, yeah, no, I don't quite fancy. So I think a lot of us are like, yeah, you're probably right, mate. Stay away for a bit. And he did. And then when he came in 2014, we botched him, to be honest. We absolutely botched him. So the way we brought him in was amazing, but then he loses at WrestleMania 31. And then, like, obviously gets injured with Seth. And so pretty much at that point, we were like, oh, God, you were right, weren't you, mate? So, yeah, I mean, look, Sting is one of those that I think everyone's got a healthy respect for. He kind of minds his own lane. When he was concerned about coming into WWE, that proved to be correct. And he is someone that just goes back to, like, the 80s as well. I mean, how many wrestlers are there now that are competing now that go all the way back to having matches in the 1980s? I mean, there ain't going to be many. And if they are, they're going to be on an indie scene and we're all going to be scared for their health, right? I'm looking at you, Jerry the King Lawler, right? So, or Bushwhacker Luke, who I think is still having matches as well. So, you know, there's not loads of legends that go all the way back to the 80s. There's not loads of legends that have wrestled all these different promotions that Sting has. There's not loads of legends that kind of mind their own lane and don't really trash other promotions. And as I said, if he's done it, I ain't seen it, right? If he has, other than like him having concerns about coming into WWE, if he's done it, I ain't seen it. So there's just this really healthy respect for Sting, and I just really, this is why I think a lot of people are disappointed in this last match, because they want his last match to be something of substance. They want his last match to be something that is going to be remembered and talked about forever. You know, Shawn and Ric Flair at WrestleMania. I know it's not Ric Flair's last match, but it's his last WWE match, right? And Shawn and Ric Flair is just about as perfect as it gets for a send-off. It's WrestleMania. It's a great match. It's one of the greatest moments. I mean, Ric Flair was given one of the greatest moments with the "I'm sorry, I love you." Boom. Oh my God. It is so amazing. How do they capture or recreate something like that for Sting? How do they do that for him? Maybe you just don't plan it. Maybe you just have the match and it's just going to be a banging match. I mean, the Bucks will give everything, you know. The Bucks giving everything. I know a lot of people criticize the Bucks, but they can do a lot of stuff in the ring, right? They have got a very wide move set. They can operate at a fast pace. I saw them have some really good matches in AEW and New Japan. I think that if everyone's on the same page, everyone's dialed in, you know, I think the big criticism about the Bucks is that they're all gymnastics. They're all flipping around, but there's, you know, it just loses a sense of reality at times. But when you've got someone in there like Darby Allin, who's just a, you know, stuntman, basically, he's gonna give you that hard-hitting side of things that can sometimes be missing. And then also you've got Sting, who's not going to be able to do all those acrobatics. So he's going to give you those hard-hitting moments. So that match, styles-wise, is going to have everything you're looking for, because you're going to have the Bucks operating at 1,000,000 miles an hour, like all over the place. But then the other team is going to be grounded. They're going to be hard-hitting. And so you're going to be catering a bit of everything for everyone. And it's Sting's last match. And no one's going to want it to fail. So there is a lot of ticks for what we're going to be getting on Sunday. So, as I said, I'm not covering it. We're not doing it on this channel. My friend Tommy Toy Travels is doing it. He should have that stream set up at some point. Once he does, I will put it on the front page of this channel, because I really want everyone to listen. If you go to other people to watch it, that's fine, brilliant, amazing, right? I just want everyone to enjoy wherever you go, whoever you watch with, right? Just enjoy Sting's last match. Just enjoy that moment, right? It's going to be something very, very special. And you know, it's not often that you get moments like that are guaranteed in wrestling. It's not often that you get moments where you go, do you know what, it's going to be very special. But Sting's last match, it can't be anything but. It can't be anything but. It has to be special. It will be special. There's no way that you will not be able to watch that and think back to all the moments of Sting from the past. So, yeah, it's going to hit you in the feels. I really think if you've got a history with Sting, any sort of history with Sting, I think you're going to feel it. I'll feel it. Definitely. It'll remind me of my grandma. It'll remind me of going round my grandma's, turning on the TV and seeing WCW, and, you know, no disrespect to WCW, I'm sure WWE would have been the same, but there was a lot of people coming out that I'd never heard of. Their gimmicks were a bit bland. There was nothing that was kind of catching my eye as a kid. It was just like people coming out and wrestling, and I was just sort of like, you know, it was on. It was something. It would grab my attention. I'd pick one of them to root for, but to be honest, I was probably building a fort with cushions, right? Taking the cushions off the sofa, building a fort. That's probably what I was doing. And the TV was on. But I was not distracted or building a fort when I saw Sting come walking out. So, you know, he really is something special. He really will remind me and take me back to that. I might build another fort. I might do it in celebration of Sting. I might get all the cushions off. I might build this giant fort on Sunday. So yeah, you know, it's amazing. He is something very special, and he is going to be a big loss, but he can still be around the business. I haven't heard what he said that he's going to do, to be honest. I haven't heard him say if he's going to be sticking around, if he's going to be leaving, if he's going to... I really don't know. I don't know what his plan is. So I think a lot of us are surprised it's not him and Darby. I was definitely surprised it wasn't him and Darby Allin. But it doesn't matter. We know what the match is now. We've learned to accept it, and it's just about now moving forward and sending him off right. Right, I need to log in. Oh, I am. Lovely. I can't log in on this computer, but I am logged in on this one, so I'll watch it on this. And also, I do need to say, I know we've just spoke a lot about Sting, but obviously a big apology for starting late as well. It was a misunderstanding. That I misunderstood myself. I thought I'd set it for past. I'd set it actually for like 12. I'd set it for an hour before, and I thought I'd set it for half an hour before, so that's why I was running late. So apologies for that, my friends. But we're here now. It's a bonus stream. And as of yesterday, I didn't even know I was doing this stream. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be good. Mitchell said, build a fort. It stinks that we never got Taker versus Sting. Yeah, that's true. It does. I am going to build that fort. But I agree. I mean, there's a long list of dream matches that we never got. I mean, you know, my two favorite wrestlers are Undertaker and Shawn, and we never got either of those matches, him against Sting. So, you know, that without even breaking a sweat, I would absolutely love to have seen those matches. And Undertaker... Sting, I think, will forever be the dream match that got away. You know, Sting was kind of the dark, mysterious, certainly when he was Crow, Sting, up in the rafters, just watching on, you know. That Crow Sting was just so cool. And it was amazing because Surfer Sting was so cool. He managed to reinvent himself with cool personas, like, repeatedly. I mean, the Joker Sting, I know that there's a lot of people that aren't fans of it. But I actually think that there is some merit to Joker Sting. I actually think Joker Sting has got a place in the wrestling world. And you could kind of argue that is the version of Sting that we have now. He doesn't kind of act that way, but this isn't Crow Sting, is it? And this isn't Surfer Sting. So we've seen an evolution of Sting throughout his career, which is crazy, to be honest, because when he first moved away from Surfer Sting, which was the blonde, I was devastated. I was devastated. That to me was like the guy that I admired, and now he was just completely 180'd. He was completely going in a different direction. I didn't want him to. I had no desire for him to go in a different direction. So I feel that he's got, just like Undertaker, actually, this amazing ability to reinvent himself. And I didn't watch him when he was in TNA, but I have seen clips. And I have seen videos of people laying into Joker Sting, actually, which is what makes me think not everyone is on board with it. But I have also seen clips that I've really enjoyed. And then, of course, you know, we get him in WWE. We get the version that we've got now. I think the version we had in WWE is the same version we had now, which I think is a evolution from the Joker Sting. But I mean, Crow Sting was really cool. That would be the one, really. That kind of Crow Sting against Undertaker was the one that I always pictured. That was the one that I always looked at and thought, like, that would be the match. Crow Sting, like, imagine we just cut to the rafters and there he is as Crow Sting. But then I think if I was doing Shawn, I would want Surfer Sting. Could you imagine Surfer Sting against Shawn? That would be sick. I mean, we've got a 3 faces of Foley situation going on here. The many faces of Sting situation. But it's, you know, you can't really cry about it, can you? He's given us so many matches. I wonder, actually, if we go to cage match, I think it'll tell us how many matches he's had. And I've got a feeling that it must be... I think I looked the other day, you know. I think it was about 900 and something. Let's have a look. There's a period where he doesn't actually compete for quite a while. Because, I mean, I don't know if you ever go to cage match, right? I feel like this is the right stream to talk about cage match. Let's ping up cage match. So if you go to the top up here and you search for Sting, okay? Then you get all the results back for people that have got Sting in their name. You obviously want the one that's just Sting. 9.15 rating, right? So it's this guy here. So if you click on the wrestler, and then if you click on, you've got all these options here. You can click on his matches, and that'll give you a list of all of his latest matches, right? Which is very useful. Or you can click on, is it Korea? Korea. And not the country. Let's zoom this out a little bit. So what I love about this, so here we have got like all the years, and you can see all the promotions that he has competed for. So if we go back to like 85, you can see that he first started here with Continental Wrestling Association, right? The CWA in 1985. And then he kind of works his way up through the promotions. Jim Crockett, we've got WCW in 1988, and then boom, is away. So we've got, like, you know, territories, NWA. He wrestles in those for like 3-4 years, gets to, like, you know, Jim Crockett, WCW is then formed, and boom, we're away. So here's the 90s. So you can see WCW and New Japan. Obviously, they had that relationship in the 90s. So that's what he's doing throughout the 90s. WCW into 2001. That's when they go bust. And then, of course, there's this little period which is really interesting here. So 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. He's not really settled anywhere at this point. So he's competing for like the World Wrestling All-Stars. He does do a little 4 matches with TNA. He competes for Hawaii Championship Wrestling, and he competes for American Wrestling Association. NWA, he is also competing for the National Wrestling Alliance Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, right? So he's not really found a home in this period here, but he knows he doesn't want to go to WWE. He doesn't feel like he'll be treated right. And he was right. And then, boom, look at that. We've got that run of TNA. So he's got home here in WCW and plenty of New Japan matches. You know, like he's doing at least a couple of matches each year for New Japan. So he's got like plenty of footage of him in New Japan. Be a good video for someone to make, actually, would be Sting in New Japan. It wouldn't be the hardest video to make because there's not tons of matches, but there's a solid run there for New Japan. And then he lands in TNA. And I mean, that is quite a stretch, isn't it? I mean, he's got a few matches in 2003, but 2006, he has like 16 matches. Then he has like 20-odd matches in 07. Another like 20-odd matches, 20-odd matches, 20-odd matches. Like, he has quite a few matches in TNA, going all the way up to 2014. And he doesn't have loads of matches there because I think he leaves quite early in 2014. Because obviously it's at Survivor Series that he then lands in WWE. And it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's heartbreaking because that match with Seth where he has that buckle bomb and, you know, he suffers the injury. That has robbed us. That has really, really robbed us. He has 4 matches with WWE. And then he's out the game 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. Nothing at all. Absolutely nothing at all. You know, isn't it funny how he was always worried about going to WWE? And then when he finally does, look what happens to his career. Loads of activity. Stays busy when he leaves WCW. Good run with TNA. Look at this one square of WWE. That's it. End of your career. Thanks for coming. And then nothing. And then there's been this rebirth here where obviously AEW, New Japan, and a match with Pro Wrestling Noah as well in last year. So amazing. An amazing career. So many different promotions. So many different promotions. The NWA, the WCW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, you know, Jim Crockett promotions, like Hawaii Wrestling, and loads of promotions. But that's what his career looks like. Goes all the way back to 1985. And I know we're talking about Sting a lot, but he deserves to be spoken about a lot. And we won't be watching on Sunday, so it just sort of makes sense to take a moment to just kind of have a little look at his career, talk about like the matches that got away. Obviously, his feud with Ric Flair is goated. He's had a few feuds that have been goated, actually. I don't know how I feel about him and Darby. I don't know. I feel like Darby has been a crutch for Sting. Sting, I think, has benefited because he has, you know, been able to be ringside and been able to like stand by his guy in Darby. But I think Darby has massively benefited because, of course, he's had Sting by his side. So, you know, both have benefited, but it hasn't really gone, I think, anywhere that we thought it was going to. I think we all thought that Darby would turn on Sting, or I did. And that never happened, and I think we all thought we would get that match. And then that would be it. That would launch Darby, but that's not what's happened. Instead, here we are for his last match. And they're going to team together, and then that's it. Is off into the sunset. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they present it. Very interesting. Con Fujsk said, Crow, Sting will always be one of the best gimmicks in wrestling history. Yeah, I agree. It was so, you know, to take someone like Sting, red hot babyface, looked amazing, blonde hair, the face paint, the kind of scorpion on the tights, and just everything about him was so eye-catching. Everything about him was so cool. He just, when he was surfacing, it felt like he lived a different life to everyone else. It felt like, oh, what does Sting do? You know what I mean? Like, if you told me he went back to his home planet, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't think he lives life like the rest of us. I'm pretty sure he does like some pretty weird, like he loves surfing, I know that much. He loves going to the beach. Perhaps they don't have beaches where he comes from. Like, he was just, I don't know, he's always had this otherworldly feel, and part of that was probably because I was a kid. Warrior felt the same. If you told me Warrior came from a different planet, I'd be like, yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Did Macho Man get a ride with him as well? Because even Macho Man feels out there. You know, there's some people that their personalities, their personas, their characters, their gimmick, they're so big. They're so big. You just can't imagine them doing the washing up. And Sting was absolutely one of those, and Warrior was absolutely one of those, right? So to take that and just go whoop, and completely 180, completely go in a different direction, you do. It was. Honestly, it'd be like turning Undertaker into a hugger, a Bailey buddy hugger. You know, complete 180. So you've got this guy that's bright blonde hair, he, you know, loves surfing. He's someone that's a beach body and a red hot baby face, and then all of a sudden he's in the stands with a black trench coat on and like crow makeup, and he's just up in the rafters quietly watching, all mysterious. It's just, this guy, his career has been absolutely incredible. And it's funny, isn't it? Because even though he's had this amazing career, you can't help but sit here and go, why did we not get The Undertaker? Why didn't he face Shawn Michaels? There's so much more that I'd love to have seen him do. But do you know what? What a wonderful way to end your career, with people desperately clamoring for one more match, desperately clamoring because there are things that you've still not done. Do you know, I've said this, and this might upset a few people in the chat, and I'm not trying to upset anyone. I would love for him to sign with WWE. I don't think he will, but I would love for him to sign with WWE. Not to have a match, but he deserves a WrestleMania moment that we can remember, that maybe can erase the loss to Triple H. We said one the other day. Could you imagine if he comes walking down to the ring? So you got Pretty Deadly in the ring, or some heel team in the ring, and they're laying into the WrestleMania crowd, and all of a sudden Sting's music hits. He comes walking out onto the entrance stage, right? And then the gong sounds, and Undertaker comes out on the entrance stage, and then both of them start making their way like down to the ring together, side by side, and they take out this tag team. And then there's a moment where they're face to face, staring at each other. And there's just that moment where you're like, could they? Are they? Next year? Is that the plan? Are they gonna? And then there's a handshake, and you're like, oh, goddamn. But, you know, I think that if you bill Summit as a last match, I think it should be honored. I think it would be doing AEW dirty. I think it'd be doing Darby dirty as well, to say it's his last match and then do another one. But there's nothing that means he can't have WrestleMania moments, you know? There's nothing to stop that, so I would absolutely love to see that. That'd be amazing. James said Sting is in 2 Hall of Fames. Bonkers said Meat Madness match has been removed for an all-star scramble match. Oh, okay. 770 said, imagine the possible WrestleMania 40, 41, Sting, Stone Cold, or Taker. Oh, man, there's so many great matches. Right, I've never actually done this before, where I'm using the same computer to stream as I am to actually watch a show. I've never, ever done that. I've always been worried that things will crash. So, at the moment, I think we're looking okay. I need to make sure the sound's not coming across on the channel. Nothing looks like it is. I've got that turned down. Okay. Lovely. Right, let's go. Dynamite. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. I've seen they've got a new logo come in. I saw that's on the way. I'm quite excited for this, you know. I've had a lovely little break of 2 months. I feel very recharged. I feel like I can thank you, Sting signs. So we've got Excalibur, Taz, Tony Schiavone. Here comes Hangman. He's in our main event at on Sunday. Hangman against Swerve against Samoa Joe. Oh, he's coming out with a crutch. So Hangman making his way down. There's a little thing on the graphic that says not looking good. Melanie, you don't do AEW. No, I don't do AEW, but it is, and I cannot stress this enough, a one-off. It is an absolute one-off because my friend Tommy Toy Travels would be doing it, but he's actually out on a date. Somehow, it turns out that there is a fan of wrestling that also does YouTube that's also trying to have a life. What's that about? He's trying to have a girlfriend or something. Don't know. It's alien to me. But we are here to just pick up the pieces, make sure the community has got somewhere to go this evening for watching this go-home show. This is a pretty important show. Sting's last Dynamite. I'd imagine this is one he's pretty gutted at missing, to be honest. Hangman said this doesn't look like a promising start to this speech, does it? He's come out on a crutch. I'm not really buying this at the moment, but maybe he is telling the truth. Winning the World Championship. He says winning the World Championship is the biggest accomplishment of his career. Oh, it definitely is. Okay. Did you see Rob Fee tell It All Begins Again, Dreadmare, to remove all links to do with Bo because it's misleading, and he chose to stop doing the videos? No, but I'm really pleased that that has happened because it's a flipping disgrace and it's been winding me up. It's deceptive. Okay, this Sunday, I won't be able to compete. Right, wow, he said this Sunday I won't be able to compete. Here's Swerve. Oh, should we do the dance? Because we won't get a chance to do the dance, will we? Swerve, Swerve, here's Nana. I didn't like Nana, you know. When I first saw him, wasn't a fan because I love Swerve. And I thought that Swerve was like a big deal. So to have this guy like dancing with Swerve, I was like, what are we doing? But I have said before, this is one example where I think it has really caught on. I don't like Garcia doing it. Right? I don't like Danny Garcia doing it. But Nana has massively grown on me. It's a bit like FTR's music. When I first heard FTR's music, I wasn't a fan. And then that grew on me. And Prince Nana, the same, you know. Wasn't a fan at first. Really wasn't. But I have to admit, it's grown on me. Could you imagine if Swerve came back to WWE and Nana wasn't with him? Can't even imagine that now. Can't even imagine that. I love you, but don't do that again. Thank you, James. The funny thing about fate is you can't escape it. My destiny awaits me. So are we? I really don't think that he's out the match. I think it'll be a better match if he's out. I much prefer one-on-one matches. Much prefer them than triple threats. So I think it'll be a better match if he's out, but I'm not buying it at the moment. Here's Samoa Joe. Joe. Champ making his way out. Yes, R.I.P. Virgil. Do you know, I was just thinking, I didn't see a graphic for Virgil, but then equally we have not mentioned it either, so... Yes, definitely R.I.P. Virgil. Samoa Joe said, it looks like we've got two of the most bitter enemies ever trying to hug it out. Well, there's a few truths coming from Samoa Joe. Oh, that's good. That's good. Joe's like, week after week, I've seen you two staring at each other, thinking all you have to do is, like, beat the other man. Not confronting me. You're avoiding looking at me. I'm the real man around here. He is as well. You are both battle-tested, battle-hardened. You're hungry, accomplished wrestlers. The only reason you're hungry is because of me. I'm starving your ass. Oh, he's so good, Joe, isn't he? He is so good. I'm gonna whip both your asses. I'm someone that's gone from being a cruiserweight to going after the world championship. I'm someone that's gone from unemployed to main event in pay-per-views. Oh, let's not bring that up again. I'm the same man that went into someone else's home and threatened their infant child. Oh yeah, you're a big man, aren't you? Do you know who I am? I broke into a man's house and I threatened a child. That's who I am. Maybe don't bring that up. I'm on the verge of making history. Whose house? Swerve's house. Disloyal Cream. Dave's doing a watch long for AEW. Oh, it was a trap. Oh, I didn't. He's not injured. He's in there with a crutch. Boom! Hangman. Wallops. Swerve. So, Hangman set a trap. You won't be champion. He won't be champion. And Hangman using that crutch. Oh. Still think it'd be a better match if he was out of it, though. Can't Nana like dancing back or something? What's going on? Swerve knocked out. I guess they did this to make Swerve face, said David. If you go to commentary wearing a poncho, the WWE reference. It was a good segment, said Mitchell. Right, well, Hangman goes to the back. That is, it was a very watchable segment, wasn't it? Very watchable. Ah, he's dribbled on the ring. He's walloped Swerve, and Swerve's dribbled. Trios match coming up tonight. We got Blackpool Combat Club taking on FTR and Eddie Kingston. Obviously, we've got 2 matches this weekend being combined into one there. Will Ospreay is all elite, and oh my god. You're right, bruv. You're right. Yeah, nah, bruv. Nah, bruv. Right, well, we got Will Ospreay. Sting's final Dynamite tonight. Be nice if we keep going backstage to check. Oh, what's this? Is this the arrival of Sting? This is what I was going to say. It'd be nice if we keep checking on Sting throughout the evening. Oh, no, it's the Bucks. The Bucks. Hey, Ruby Soho's on the side of one of the trucks. Ruby, 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 Ruby Soho. It's lovely having not watched for a while, you know. I feel very rejuvenated. Matthew, Nicholas. What is Renee wearing? Renee's got some jeans on and there's like slits right at the top of her thigh. Oh, Jesus. She's been inspired by those Bailey pants. Have you seen Sting today? Yeah, final appearance. We're dying to see him and thank him. So the Young Bucks have got some baseball bats. They said they want to conduct his exit interview. So they are looking to wallop an old man with a baseball bat. This is wrestling. Trios match coming up next. The Bucks have bats. The Young Bats. That's one of the worst outfits I've ever seen. What? Renee's? Renee's? Well, no one says you've got to wear it, Mitchell. No one's asking to you to pop it on. I think she looks lovely. We might not even be talking about Renee. But, yeah, quite daring, I thought, with the slits on the upper thigh. Very daring. WWE, AEW fan, shout out to you, my friends. We are at commercial break, so 15 minutes in. Opening segment was interesting, very watchable. I wasn't really buying the injury, but it was still a segment I wasn't sure where it was going to go. Some lovely lines from Samoa Joe, and yeah, did what it needs to do to go home, innit? Go home, put in the little final touches to obviously the show this weekend. I'm sure we're going to touch on a lot of the matches that we've got coming up. I'm looking forwards, and I don't think they've announced anything, but I'm looking forward to any sort of Tony Storm segment. Any sort of Tony Storm segment, and I've not seen an announcement for a Tony Storm segment. We used to have a graphic, and I will be honest, I didn't see if they actually tweeted one out. Let's have a look. We've got Orange Cassidy against Nick Wayne tonight. We've got, there is a graphic. Oh, and there's no mention of Tony Storm. Okay, so tonight we've got Hangman Adam Page announces his status for Revolution. He's fine. Is all right. Then we've got Will Ospreay is all elite. We got Kris Statlander taking on Skye Blue. We've got Atlantis Jr. That's one of them CMLL guys, is it? Taking on Chris Jericho. Atlantis Jr.? Any thoughts? I have no idea. We've got Orange Cassidy against Nick Wayne. We've got the Trios match. And we've got Sting's final Dynamite. So, actually, only 4 matches have been announced for tonight. Only 4 matches. I'm sure there will be more. But only 4 matches announced. Right, we are about to go back from commercial break. Mitchell said, I don't get this Trios match. They're literally doing 2-3 matches. 2-3 of the match at the pay-per-view. Well, they're doing both, aren't they? So it's going to be FTR against Blackpool Combat Club. And it's going to be Danielson against Eddie Kingston. So I think what they've done is just put them together as teams in a 6-man. It's a go-home situation, innit? Big time, hello. NXT took a nosedive, 570 first, below 600 since June. It was solid, but the last 4 or 5 weeks have been weak. Even me as a viewer finds it not really feeling like I'm missing anything. No FOMO, said Big Time. Yeah, I think we were talking about that yesterday, weren't we? Like, they will always respond. And I think they did respond by setting up Roadblock next week. Roadblock will pick the rating back up. You'll have FOMO next week. And obviously we brought in Sean Spears as well. So, you know, they will always respond. I don't think they'll be concerned about it because next week will be, you know, next week's juicy, man. The Asylum match. Elia and Carmelo. You've got the tag titles being defended. You know, obviously we're going to be hearing from Sean Spears as well, so they'll easily get 650 next week, I'd imagine, at least. So, you know, I think there is a bit of, as we said, I think there has been a little bit of just letting it ride. Just letting it ride, knowing that you are going to build up to Roadblock. And who knows, after Roadblock, they might just let it ride as we then build up to Stand and Deliver. So I don't think they'll be too concerned. The problem is if you start getting week after week after week of being in the 500s. I think if you was to start getting multiple weeks of being in the 500s, that is a problem. Right, here's Kingston and FTR taking on Blackpool Combat Club. WWE stole the Asylum match from TNA. It's basically Lethal Lockdown, says James. Oh, that's interesting. Hasib, we know that you're not doing the pay-per-view, but will you tune in to witness for the last time? Probably not, to be honest. Currently, no, just because there are some good matches on that card, but I don't know that there's enough, because you got to buy it, ain't you? If it was free and you could just put it on, I would definitely do that. But isn't it like £20 or something? Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, £20, it's not going to break the bank. But you know it, I know it, everyone knows it. As soon as Sting has made his entrance, that entrance is going to be all over social media. In fact, I would imagine AEW themselves will put a video out showing the entrance. I'm sure it'll be on their YouTube channel. Like, I sort of feel like you are paying for the benefit of seeing it about, I don't know, 15 minutes before everyone else, or half an hour before everyone else. So I have no doubt whatsoever that I will see everything I want to see without even having to buy the pay-per-view. And not even illegally. Just through their own channels. I'm sure they will put stuff out, you know. It's a weird world that we live in, isn't it? Where They need to sell pay-per-view, but they also have social media accounts that needs content. So it's a weird world that we live in. There's not really anything else on the card that I am desperate to watch. There's not really anything else I'm like, oh, I've got to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing Ospreay to Takeshita. I really think Ospreay to Takeshita looks like a banging match, right? I think that Deonna against Toni Storm should be a lot of fun. I'm totally down for that match as well. But Blackpool Combat Club against FTR, it's a take it or leave it situation for me. I'm not a big Orange Cassidy fan, so I don't need his match. I can't even remember who he's facing, but you know, I'm not really too fussed by that. Triple threat main event, as I said, I think it'd be better if it was just Swerve against Samoa Joe. But then saying that, I think that would technically be two heels, so you probably do need a babyface in there. So, yeah, Stings is the one that is the, oh, I really do want to watch that. I really do want to see that, but I just feel very confident that that footage will be absolutely everywhere, like moments after it's aired. So, I think it's one of those, if you're watching it, you have a really great time. I will be, as I should be now, to be honest, working on unseen videos, getting unseen videos put together. And I will try and catch the bits that I can catch. But honestly, the card, we did the breakdown of it yesterday on the Wrestling Escape Pod. It doesn't look that bad. It really doesn't look bad. Add in the fact that you've got Okada coming in. You've got Mercedes coming in. I think AEW this weekend could get the shot in the arm that they need. Big Business is obviously going to be the show. But, you know, they've sold 13,000 tickets. And I really mean this as well. Like, tribalism goes out the window when it comes to Sting. I really believe that. Tribalism, maybe not for everyone, but I think for the real, true, old-school wrestling fans, I don't think there is a tribalism that exists. I've not heard anyone lay into Sting for going into AEW and, you know, doing what he's doing. Everyone, I think, just wishes that he has a fantastic final match. So it's not really about that. It's not about, like, tribalism or anything like this. I wish AEW nothing but the best. I really do. And I think that this card looks decent on Sunday. I think that they've sold a lot of tickets for Sunday. I think there'll be a lot of people that tune in on Sunday. I hope that Tommy has a massive stream on Sunday. And I think that that's going to hopefully give them a bit of momentum to then get to Big Business, where they drop in Mercedes, they drop in Okada, they've got Ospreay arrived now. And, you know, who knows what the rest of the year will hold from there, so. And who knows if that streaming thing comes together. You know, the one that's ESPN, Fox, and TBS. Who knows what happens if that comes together? That could be very interesting. Headbutt coming in there by, well, both guys, actually. We've got Cash, and we've got, he's in trouble, isn't he, Cash? Apparently, has he got, like, a court date sorted and everything? Cash and Moxley, we've had the two sides come in and separate. We've got Claudio and Eddie Kingston. No love lost between those two. Those two going at it on the outside. In fact, we've got all 6 people on the outside at the moment. Face first into the edge of the ring goes Moxley. Chop coming in there by Kingston to Claudio. I think a shot to the midsection there by Claudio as well. And right now we've got Kingston into the barricades. We've got Cash going into the commentary table. So a big brawl on the outside. Referee has lost control of this one. Right now we've got a chair. Dax has got a chair. Referee coming over saying no. No, you can't use that. Eddie Kingston is absolutely knocking lumps out of Claudio right in front of some dudes in the front row. And they're like, yeah. They are absolutely lapping. Look at them lads there. They are absolutely loving the action in front of them at the moment. Moxley goes into the barricades. He goes down. Danielson on the edge of the ring. Cashes back up. Danielson, flying knee. Flying knee by Danielson. I was reading comments. Days AEW has trademarked the term dynasty for shows or pay-per-views. People are thinking that's where MJF returns. Dynasty. Kick coming in there by Danielson. AEW Dynasty. So, kicks coming in. Into the barricades. Oh, Claudio comes in as well. That's brutal. Dax comes over to try and save Cash. Moxley jumps out the ring. There's Kingston. They're all surrounded at the moment. They are over by the barricade. Cash is down. Deja Page has gained a lot of traction since We Want Cody. I think covering AEW will keep it growing. More people have found your page, said James. It's not really about that, to be honest, but I think I struggled with doing AEW because I watched it and I was always honest about my assessment of it, and that was that there was some good stuff and stuff that I enjoyed, and there was some stuff that irritated me, much like WWE, right? And I think throughout 2020 and 2021 with the pandemic, I think that there was probably more good than there was bad. I distinctly remember that when we were doing the head-to-heads, you know, the Wednesday night war, AEW quite often would get a higher score. We were scoring both shows, and AEW would get a higher rating from us than what NXT was doing at that time. And so AEW to me was a better product than NXT in that period. I think 2021 is a really good year for AEW. I mean, it might have been their best year. And then I think that moment with the brawl outs, so Punk obviously coming in was a really exciting time. And that moment with the brawl out, which I think is what, 2022? Middle of 2022? That to me is when things change. That to me is an absolute seismic moment. The brawl out moment is maybe the biggest moment in the history of AEW, right? If we were to rank the biggest moments, a lot of people might say the creation of AEW is number one, and you can't really argue with that. But number two has got to be the brawl out. It's got to be, right? And I think that really hurt the core of the company, the soul of the company's spirit, if such a thing exists, was damaged with the brawl out. That kind of all in it together, that kind of working together, we are one mentality, it becomes fractured because you've got people that are Team Punk and you've got people that are Team Elite, and you've got this split, you've got this divide, and it splits the fans, and the fans are choosing which side they pick, and all of a sudden pulling together in the same direction is not what AEW is all about. And I think that they didn't have plans in place for a suspended Elite and a suspended Punk, so we had to kind of get through for a little bit. And I think they suffered with that. I think 2023 they tried to just strap the rocket to MJF, and I don't think the booking of MJF was correct, but I think that disillusionment kind of came in, and I think the product got a little bit flat, a little bit stale. And honestly, I go back to that moment. That to me is the moment where everything changes, is the brawl out moment. And I don't think, and I've not been watching the past 2 months, so I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. I don't think they've managed to regain the momentum from that time. I don't think that if you look at the ratings and you look at the ticket sales, I don't think they've been able to. I think they hoped Wembley would do it, But I don't think it did, because again, if you look at the ticket sales, you look at the viewership after Wembley, it's sideways movement. You know, they have got their fans, they have got their fan base, and they are really struggling to grow beyond that. They're really struggling to attract more eyes to the product. They've got their fans, and they're very consistent with like 800,000, 850,000. That's where they are. So I think that, you know, the longer it was going on, the more I was finding that I didn't like than I did like, you know. And I must tell you, I mean, I am really, like, enjoying just watching it now, because I've took that break. That couple of months away, it really does recharge your batteries. It really, like, now I can watch it and I'm just watching them brawl on the outside. Maybe I'd be getting frustrated by this. Normally I don't know, like, oh my god, the refs, where's the referee? Why is he not counting the legal men out? I don't know, whatever. But I'm just watching it for what it is right now, and it's fine. Yeah. I enjoyed the opening segment. This is the kind of big, messy match that you'd expect this to be. And we've got Will Ospreay coming up with Sting's last Dynamite. You know, there's some decent stuff that's coming up. I don't know that I would have felt this way had we have been streaming the past 2 months. I might have, you know what I mean? Those frustrations, they build. And I think if you take that like little break, you can kind of come back and I don't know. Maybe your tolerance builds up if you go away for a little bit or so. I don't know. So yeah, this is a one-off. It's not something we're looking to do. It's not something. This isn't the world that we operate in. But it is very interesting to come back to it and go like, okay, how's the product look? How do you feel watching it? I feel good. I feel really good. So I feel like it's a nice little different treat. Lovely suplex by Moxley. We have got a bit of order restored as the action goes back into the ring. AR Banks, shout out to you. Great stream as always, thank you. Shout out to you, AR Banks. Hope you're well, buds. James said, being in the company, knowing WWE can be without competition, I decided to stick with it. Since Wrestle Dream, they've been putting their working boots on, and it has slowly been improving, says James. James, thank you. That's interesting. That's interesting. Do you know what I read the other day? Because we've always said, like, they are moving sideways. But I read a perspective the other day that I thought was quite good, where someone was like, well, moving sideways in 2024, 2023 is actually growing, right? Because the rest of TV is declining, right? If you compare year on years, what TV viewership will be this year is going to be much lower than it was last year, and what it was like the year before that and the year before that. So if your product is moving sideways whilst everyone else is going down, that is actually, believe it or not, a sign of growth. Like in 2024, it's a sign that you are attracting new eyes, and that you are maintaining like where you are. Like shows would love to maintain where they are. There's like thousands of shows out there that are getting less views this year than what they got last year. Yeah, AEW at the moment is holding firm. So there is an argument that they have managed to attract some new eyes to kind of stay where they are. But clearly that's not what they want. They want to get back to hitting that million mark. We know that a motivation was that they wanted to be competitive with Raw. We know that Jericho on his podcast said that in a few years they'd be up there with Raw, and that was a few years ago. So we know that they might not want to admit it, but we know that they have aspirations for more. They are reaching for more. They expected more, you know. But it is true that, like, it's not like we're sitting here and they're doing 600,000. I would expect this to do 800,000. And we know that this weekend is going to be big for them. Sting's last match has definitely got people talking. It's definitely got people's attention. So we know that that is going to be something that's definitely going to deliver for them. So, yeah, if they have put a few bits together and, you know, we're starting to see some green shoots, then 2024 could be a good year for them. Tony Khan did say, he put out that meme, didn't he? He put out the meme of him saying that 2024 was going to be as good as AEW in 2021. So he also recognizes that 2021 was a good peak pinnacle like year for them, and he's hell bent on making this year as good as that year. Moxley going against the ropes and clothesline. Down goes Dax. So right now we've got Blackpool Combat Club all working on Dax. They've got his arms behind his back. And Danielson with a headbutt. Flying headbutt by Danielson and a shoulder up there by Dax. And right now we've got Moxley working on the arm. Brawl Out was absolutely a black eye to the company, said Big Time. Its perception and its legitimacy went down. You can't afford messing up when WWE is providing what fans want under Triple H. I agree. I agree. I think that AEW would have got away with some of these missteps if it was still Vince in charge. Because we've spoken before about the fact that when AEW started, it was the wrestlers taking on Vince. And in the eyes of the fans, it was quite easy to get behind the wrestlers. What happened over time was it became not the wrestlers, it became Tony Khan that was the face of the company. So Tony made himself the face of the company. And so it became Tony. It didn't become the Bucks. It didn't become Kenny. It didn't become Hangman. It didn't become Danielson. It was Tony Khan that represented AEW and still does. Against not Vince, but Triple H, who people respect from his booking in NXT. People love NXT and they love black and gold NXT. So there's a lot of respect for Triple H's booking. That is a much harder fight for AEW. It's a lot easier if it's wrestlers versus Vince than it is Tony versus Triple H. So I think you're right. I think the Brawl Out was a big misstep, shall we say. And they might have got away with it a bit more if Vince was in charge of WWE. But because it's Triple H... and because he's been cooking and, you know, Bloodline's been doing what it's been doing, you know, it's kind of meant that if you have only got time to watch one, a lot of people have chosen WWE in this period. But AEW, they do provide something. There is good characters, good matches, you know? There is a reason to watch if you can watch both. 1, 2, and Dax making the save. This is it's a long match, isn't it? It's a really long match. Crowd are chanting, this is awesome, as there's a single leg drop kick. Clothesline there by Dax as Moxley goes to the outside. FTR now clothesline Claudio to the outside. Oh. Eddie Kingston with a back elbow. Boom. Bulldog from the top, looking for a cover. Eddie Kingston too, and we go on, man. We go on. I mean, there is so much action that's going on here. There's so much that's happening. Perhaps this is why there's only 4 matches that have been announced, because they knew this one was going to go for like a good 20 minutes. I hope we get Sky Blue blasting the black mist in Aubrey's face, said Gongcast. I honestly think the problem is that Tony tried to run before he could walk, said James. Instead of slowly building the company up for many years, he's rushed into the Forbidden Door stuff and then bought Ring of Honor. Yeah. I think it's, you know, it's a very interesting conversation. I know it's one we have quite often, like, you know, what would you do with AEW, blah, blah, blah. But I think it is an interesting conversation because I think a lot of us here want AEW to succeed. I keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. I don't want AEW to go out of business. I think they provide an alternative. I think that also brings the best out in WWE. I think that, you know, if we didn't have this company, then we wouldn't have, like, you know, where would Tony Storm be working? Where would FTR be working? Where would Daniel Bryan be working? Like, where would these people be? You know, would Eddie of Kingston have had the opportunity that he's had? You know, where would MJF be? There's enough wrestlers in the world where you can have more than just one company. So there is definitely a place for an alternative. It's just everyone's got a slightly different idea of what the alternative should look like, you know? That's hard, isn't it? Upcut. Right now we've got Eddie Kingston, we've got FTR throwing in some chops, all chopping in the corner. I don't know why they're just taking those chops, to be honest. All three guys were just in the corner, just taking those chops. I don't know why they were doing that. I hate these, and this isn't a criticism of AEW. I hate it in any company. I hate these kind of synchronized moments. It's like synchronized swimming. Like, we've got three guys all in the corner, all being chopped at the same time. There was a close-up on Eddie Kingston. The chops didn't even look that good. And you've got the guys just sort of standing there, just taking them. They're talking now about the time limit potentially expiring. We just had a shatter machine. Right now, we've got a suplex by Danielson. Right, the ringer's been cleared. Kingston's on his knees. Knee strike there by Danielson. Kingston goes down. So Danielson is grabbing Kingston. Oof. Oof. It's kicking. Look at these, man. It's kicking the side of the head of Kingston, and it sounds great. Well, it sounds horrific, but... Danielson, we got a triangle. And that's going to do it. Danielson has put Kingston to sleep. So Danielson has put Eddie Kingston out. It's a win for Blackpool Combat Club. And Danielson was doing a bit of trash talking there. Look at the posing. The posing of Danielson. I love that by Claudio as well. Blackpool Combat Club are like scattered around. Two are on the outside. Danielson's in the ring. And they are celebrating in their own little individual ways. Claudio just having a few words there for Dax. As Blackpool Combat Club pick up the victory. So, a win here for Danielson. Does that mean that Eddie retains at the weekend? I know that rule doesn't really apply, but... Sunday, Eddie, your ass is getting choked out. Right, I'd like to get a bit of a update. I'd like to get an update as to where we are with Sting. We know that the Young Bucks are looking for Sting. If being a mark is speaking the truth, then funking hell, said James. Oh, look at this footage of CMLL. So Atlantis Sr. worked with Jericho in CMLL. And so now we're doing Jericho against Atlantis Jr. Here's Jericho. He looks in good shape, doesn't he? He looks good. Atlantis was not just a great opponent, he was a great partner. He's just talking about being thrown in the deep end back in the day. Oh, this will be good. I'm going to show you some stuff you've not seen. I'm going to give you a few lessons. I'm going to show you what Chris Jericho can do. Oh, Ospreay next. Okay. Cool. Did you see the smile up from Jericho at the end? Yeah, that's not bad, is it? I mean, like, there's a history there of him teaming with Atlantis' dad. So Atlantis coming over to compete there with Jericho. That should be interesting, different. Could be a good little match. So, up for that. And coming up next, we've got Ospreay. Definitely. All right, bruv. Definitely up for Ospreay. Jawsome said, Days, I saw a post about Jericho wanting to go back to WWE. I don't know if the source is reliable, so I'll tag you on it. Have a look in your free time. Thank you, buds. It's probably, well, I mean, we'll have a look at it, but it's probably not. I've not heard any word about Jericho wanting to go back. I've not heard any issue there or anything, but who knows? This might be the start of finding out about an issue, so we'll definitely have a look at it. There is men's matches on Raw that are a mess as well, said A. Jobson, and women's matches were practically non-existent. Jericho's going to do a spinneroonie. In honor of Sting's career, I've put on my Halloween flickering light bulb in my bedroom ceiling, and it looks wicked. I'm about to leave, it says Travis. That is a lovely way to respect the legacy of Sting. Thank you. Trini said, I'm going to go surfing in my pond. That's what I'm going to do. It's only a very small pond, but I'll try my best. Trini said, I'm never unfair to Tony Khan. I liked him before Brawl Out, but watching him be a sad little mark whilst Punk had a meltdown made me lose respect. You control fans online, but you can't handle Punk. Oh, what? When Punk was going off, he was just sort of like a shrinking, like, you know, did they say that? A shrinking violet? He was just sort of, you know, looking a bit sad, wasn't he? I mean, literally. That's my that's the image I've got of Tony Khan in that moment. Punk just going off and Tony Khan just in his head he's just thinking, oh god. In his head he must be like, oh my god, we're gonna have to cleaning this up is gonna be a right nightmare. Where do I start with this? I wonder if in his head if he was thinking, I'm gonna have to suspend you. I've got to suspend you. I can't. There's no way I can't suspend you. After what you've just said publicly, I think I'm going to have to suspend you. And I don't want to suspend you. Little did he know how bad it was going to get with the brawl that would follow after, of course. Whatever he was thinking in that moment during the brawl out, no way did he know that things were about to get a hell of a lot worse. A hell of a lot worse. In that moment, he's probably like, this is horrific. I'm going to have to suspend my biggest star. This is as bad as it gets. No. It's about to get a lot worse. Right, here's Tony Schiavone in the ring. We got Will Ospreay. We're making some official. Is it like that? I can never remember if it's A-E-Y or E-A-Y. Ospreay. Ospreay. That doesn't look right. Isn't that? That looks right. I think it's E-A. And do you know what? Even if it isn't, it should be. Right, here is... Bruv! It is EA. Will Ospreay has come out on the stage. There's a big reaction. First appearance since signing with AEW in November. Will Ospreay is going to be taking on Takeshita in what should be a really good match. Really good match. Good reaction for Ospreay. Yeah, well. Ospreay gets into the ring. Did you hear his speech when he took on, was it Oku at Rev Pro after? He was like, come on, bring it in. Ah! Well, Ospreay is all elite. I mean, he must be getting some serious money because he was like, thank you, Tony, you've changed my life and all this kind of stuff. So he must be getting paid a pretty penny, man. My obligations are done with New Japan. He went to Barbados. He lost his bags, but they found them. He said he looks like Kermit the Frog's done leg day. I'm here for full-time work. Oh, man. Such a great signing. Such a great signing. On behalf of everyone that watches WWE, we wish we'd got Ospreay. In my first pay-per-view match, I beat Orange Cassidy. I beat Kenny Omega in Canada. And I pinned Chris Jericho at Wembley Stadium. Make no mistake. Ospreay said he's ready to pick up where he's left off. And here come the Callis family. So, Don Callis making his way down. Powerhouse Hobbs to Takeshita. I actually don't know the situation here. So, Callis making his way down with Powerhouse Hobbs and Takeshita. Callis coming over. You can see that Ospreay's not really into this. He embraces Powerhouse Hobbs. He looks over at Takeshita. Boos for Don Callis. Boos for Callis. There's nothing I like more than a Don Callis family reunion. Days, don't worry, we don't know the situation either, said Mitchell. Maybe Dustin will turn face and team up with the Hardys. When you beat Kenny, I was right beside you. How are we going to top what you've done? We're going to top it by having a match of the year. You suck, Chance. Honestly, yeah, Ospreay Takeshita really is a match that could deliver a match of the year contender. How can you pit two family members against each other? Yeah, that's a good point. Don Callis. He says Jordan and Scottie Pippen would go hard at each other during practice. They would then come together and win championships. So Don Callis's plan is to pit these two against each other, have a match of the year contender, iron strengthening iron type situation. So he tells them to shake hands. They're staring at each other. Neither makes the first move, but Ospreay does. Ospreay puts his hand out. Takeshita looks at the hand, looks at Ospreay. They do shake hands. They do shake hands. Ospreay goes to walk away. Takeshita keeps a hold. Takeshita goes to walk away. Ospreay keeps hold. Face to face at the moment. You can see Don Callis getting a little bit concerned. Takeshita a little bit taller than Ospreay. Ospreay, loud Ospreay chants. Ospreay. Don Callis is like, Takeshita. 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 He's trying to make sure he pleases both guys. The crowd are with Ospreay. Don Callis trying to show Takeshita a little bit of love. He's very good in that role, Don Callis, I think. Very, very good in that role. Well, there we go. Very simple, to the point segment. No one got beat down. There was no attacks or anything of that ilk. Will Ospreay, though, is all elite, and the crowd are very excited to see him. There we go. Ospreay in the crowds. Cheering goes over, touching a few hands. Crowd are very much with him. Right, we're backstage with Eddie Kingston and Renee Paquette. Oh, he's got a nasty mark on the side of his body, isn't he? Look at that. Here's the book still looking for Sting. On Collision, you was talking trash. Do we need to implement a dress code? Okay. Taz is like, I hope there's not a dress code. Okay, right, hour number 2 coming up. Imagine the White Dwarf level heat if Dom ever joined with Don Callis. What have we got now? Oh, a match. Open challenge. Open challenge. Has it already been answered? Because we know the match, don't we? Didn't they announce it was Orange Cassidy, Nick Wayne? Are we not getting that? Open challenge. Okay, well, Orange Cassidy is making his way down. So Orange Cassidy, Nick Wayne. Right, sir. They mention Ole Anderson on commentary. It's been answered, which is dumb, said Mitchell. And a mention for Virgil as well. Okay, so Orange Cassidy in the ring gets his championship out of his backpack. Surely they sell them backpacks. Surely. If they're not selling those backpacks, they are absolutely missing a trick. Right, here is Nick Wayne. It is Nick Wayne. Christian is my father t-shirt. And here's Christian and Nick Wayne's mom. And do we still call him Luchasaurus? Okay, Nick Wayne is making his way down to the ring then in his Christian is my father shirt. Days, say it was Ospreay against Roman at Clash at the Castle instead of Drew. Do you think you'd have been more behind and invested with Ospreay than you was for Drew? That's an interesting question, that is. It's very hard to answer. Not because of nationality. I mean, I know that Drew leans into the Scottish thing, but it's in that moment, you know, you look at him as representing Britain. I mean, for example, it was in Wales. It was in Wales. So, he was kind of representing Britain because, you know, we wasn't in Scotland. We were in Wales. It was a Scottish-born fighter in Wales that had plenty of English people in that crowd, you know. The relationship between England, Wales and Scotland, Northern Ireland is a very interesting one, a very complex one. And I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but genuinely, I think when we are at the Olympics, I don't look at... If a Scottish person wins for Team GB, I don't look at them as being Scottish, I look at them as being British. And like with Andy Murray, you know, when he was winning in the tennis, I saw him as being British, right? He was born in Scotland. They absolutely have got, like, you know, right to celebrate him and everything. But I think us in England, in Wales, in Northern Ireland, like, we could celebrate as well. So I think that Britain and being British, I put a lot of value in that, and that means something to me, and I think it means something to a lot of people. So no, the fact that Drew was Scottish and Ospreay is English, that wouldn't bother me, to be honest. That wouldn't really change my mind. But what might change my mind is that Ospreay is, to me, a more exciting, charismatic person. So I think it would come down to him as a person, you know? So Ospreay, I mean, you just saw his promo that he did there, and how the crowd are, like, really behind him. He's got, like, this big charismatic personality, and he just so happens to be regarded as the best wrestler in the world right now. So I think that might have resulted in me rooting for him a little bit more. But I did want Drew to win that. I did want him to win it. I can't really, going back, I can't remember, like, what we were thinking, to be honest. But I know that I would have been with Drew. I wouldn't have minded Drew winning it at all. And what we ended up getting, I thought, was horrific with the sing-song with Tyson Fury. I mean, just awful. It's one of the most cringe finishes to a show ever. It was really, really bad. So, no, it's a hard one to answer, but what I can definitely answer is that it would have nothing to do with nationality. It would have everything to do with charisma, personality, the fact that Ospreay is regarded as the best, the fact I would be probably more interested in seeing Ospreay as champion and what that looks like than I would Drew as champion, because we've already had that. We've already had Drew as champion. And don't forget, Drew's doing some amazing work right now. His trolling, his social media game is brilliant right now. But I don't think it was there back in 2022. I don't think that if you go back to Clash at the Castle, I don't think that Drew was quite as captivating as what he is now. The trolling that he's doing now, the shirt of him next to CM Punk's grave, the tweets that he comes out with, he's doing some of the best, most charismatic work I've ever seen him do right now. But that wasn't the Drew going back to Clash at the Castle. So yeah, it's a good question. It's a very interesting question. It's a thought-provoking question. But I know my answer definitely would be not because of nationality. I put a lot in Britain and being British. I think I would say I'm English first, then British, and God, I don't know at what point I would get to saying I'm European. We really don't feel, I don't know. I mean, we are European, but I don't really think about being European. Doesn't register. I think I feel a lot more connected to America than I do to Europe, you know. But again, that might just be me. I can't speak for all British people, of course. But I think, you know, if I think about the fact that WWE and I mean, look, I'm sat here watching something in America. I'm not sat here watching something that's happening in Italy or something that's happening in France or something that's happening in Germany. Like, a lot of my time is spent watching stuff that's happening in America. And so that makes you feel more connected to America. I don't sit here watching French programs, German programs, Italian programs, you know. I spend a lot of my time looking over and seeing what you're doing over in the US. So I feel a lot more connected to the US than I do to Europe. So that idea of rooting for someone because they're from Europe, that I don't think that really exists. But the British thing does for me, definitely. Right, we are underway with this match. Nick Wayne is in control. I'm Kyle said, what do people see in Ospreay that they don't see in Dirty Dom? I'm delusional. I just want Ospreay in WWE. I'm really pleased that you did put that in there. Knee to the back by Nick Wayne, and he's working with Orange Cassidy at the moment. I don't think it's a difficult match, this, because I'm really not expecting Orange Cassidy to lose, of course. It wouldn't make any sense. So, sort of know that this is just a showcase for Nick Wayne. Crowd a little bit quiet at the moment. We also might be at a commercial break. That always catches me out. Cassidy goes hard into the corner, and he goes down. As a non-American, I can get you, Days. A lot of the world feels more connected to the US than their own neighbors. For example, Trinidad has got a closer relationship with the US than Barbados. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I put it down to the fact that the US is obviously one of the biggest economies. It's got so much going on. You know, I feel that when you're talking about like Apple Vision Pro, you know, like Apple is obviously an American company. When you talk about WWE or AEW, they are American companies. I think it massively helps that America speaks English. I mean, just massively helps. I mean, don't forget, I can't really watch French stuff because they speak French and I don't speak French. I can't watch German stuff because they speak German and I don't speak German. I can't watch Italian stuff because they speak Italian and I do not speak Italian. And I know that you can get things dubbed and I know that you can get things subtitled, but it's not quite the same, is it? It's not quite the same. There is a barrier that is there. And, you know, people are like, well, just learn French then. Okay, but that still doesn't help me with the German stuff, and it still doesn't help me with the Italian stuff, and it still doesn't help me with the Spanish stuff. It's such a shame that Europe, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, really. Ideally, you would want everyone to speak one language, and I think Europe would massively benefit from that. Because they felt the same about the currency. You know, Europe has got the euro, because everyone having the same currency is beneficial rather than everyone having their own currencies. Well, the same has to be true of language, right? Like, if everyone in Europe spoke English, you know, which would be ideal for me, of course, or if everyone in Europe spoke just one language, even if it was a completely different language that we had to learn, but everyone spoke at least then, you know, I feel like there would be a lot more engagement with Europe. But there are these barriers that don't exist with America. And America, obviously, has got a lot going for it in regards to, you know, the pro wrestling world in particular, you know, dominated by America. And a lot of gadgets and all the bits and bobs, all the stuff that catches your eye, you know? I do like the Apple Vision Pro. I mean, I wouldn't get it, obviously, thousands and thousands of dollars, but I do like that kind of spatial computing and whatever. I've been watching a bit on that. And that's, you know, that's America. You do find a lot of these gadgets and the things that I'm interested in are coming from that part of the world. So you do just find yourself sort of looking at what they're doing now over there, what's happening over there. I never find myself going, oh, what's happening in Germany? What's happening in Italy? What's happening in Spain? I never find myself looking in that direction. And I think that's why a lot of people in England don't feel really that strong about Europe. I think, you know, it's part of the reason why Brexit went the way it went, because we don't have that strong emotional tie to Europe. In fact, we're frustrated that we feel like a lot of our laws and a lot of bits and bobs are controlled by Europe. I mean, we're not going to get into Brexit, but I know a lot of people in America couldn't get their heads around it. Couldn't understand why Britain chose Brexit. But, you know, there was good arguments on both sides for that. I think definitely people look back on it now and go, yeah, probably should have stayed, actually. That's the general consensus. Yeah, I think we got that one wrong, actually. In retrospect, I'm not sure that we made the right decision on that one, but that's, you know, that I think is why it kind of, or why it played a part going the way it went, you know. I don't think we would ever want a USA zit, if that's what it would be. We'd never want to leave the USA. We'd never want to leave you guys. You treat us so good. Here's Orange Cassidy. Orange Punch. 1, 2, 3. Orange Cassidy picks up the win as there was lots of brawling on the outside. Orange Cassidy capitalizing and getting the Orange Punch. Now we've got Roderick Strong jumping in the ring. Roderick Strong is laying into Orange Cassidy. So Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy are fighting on Sunday. I'm not an Orange Cassidy fan, to be honest. Okay, well, there we go. That is the end of that match. I mean, I didn't give Nick Wayne much of a chance in that match. In fact, I gave him no chance at all. I think it was just a little showcase for him. And obviously a way just to build the match for Sunday. And there we go. That is the end of that match. We've got about 45 minutes left to go. We have not seen Sting at all tonight. So obviously we've got that segment still to come. Jericho taking on Atlantis. We've still got that as well. We've also still got Kris Statlander against Skye Blue. So we've still got that as well. So quite a bit that we need to fit into this final 45 minutes. I understand that they have been... I understand that they have been doing overruns. We'll get there. I understand that they've been doing overruns. Right. Let's go back to the chat. I want to jump into the chat. Days WrestleTix updated big business. 2 weeks out. Is currently at 6.5 in TD Garden. They also mentioned doing 4-for-1 bundles and charging $20 to $40. Oof. Oof. I mean, that's not good, is it? How many weeks out? 2 weeks left. And they're at 6,500 tickets. Yeah, that is a problem, isn't it? I mean, there's no real way of spinning it. It is a problem. I think more than looking at it and saying, oh, that's, you know, an issue, blah, 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 I find it much more constructive to go, well, what can they do? What is it that they're lacking? What do they need to change, you know? You know, maybe they need Mercedes to come out at Revolution on Sunday. Perhaps they need her to just walk out there, and maybe big business is where she does her first promo. Maybe you need to send the message a bit louder that Mercedes is on her way, you know? Have they got any vignettes or anything yet for her? Have they got little teasers? People love the teasers and the mystery stuff, don't they? I mean, look at how successful the thing was. Look at how successful the Three Faces thing was, or the Devil thing as well. We all know wrestling fans love this stuff. Wrestling fans absolutely love this kind of mystery, what's going on stuff, you know? So maybe they should look to do something like that. Certainly if they can tease not only Mercedes, but something else. Maybe it's quite clearly Mercedes, but she's teasing about who her first victim's going to be. Something that wrestling fans have to sort of work out, you know? Wrestling fans love that. Anything to get them talking, anything to make it like... Get them talking about Mercedes. Get them talking about who she's going to target. Get them talking. Get people talking. Could that result in a few more ticket sales? Right, here is Switchblade Jay White. He's got a belt. What belt's he got? 6-man belt. Max, oh yeah, I saw the clip of that. He tried to do his rap and then was like, I kind of lost his way, didn't he? I saw. Okay, so Bang Bang Scissor Gang, we got the Acclaimed, we've got Jay White, we've got the Gun Club. Juice Robinson is still out injured, isn't he? He's the one that's missing. Okay, well... lot of love. Kind of strange they're not on the show. I did look for Jay White, actually. He's not on the Revolution card, which is really weird. You'd imagine that they would want to really showcase Jay White. I mean, he was a massive signing, man. Massive signing. Here's Kris Statlander. She is 4-0 in 2024. Kris Statlander making her way down. Willow is coming down with her as well. As is Stokely Hathaway. So, Kris Statlander taking on Skye Blue. On a serious note, thanks for streaming tonight. It's not so much the show we watch, it's just the quality of spending time together, says William. Well, do you know what? I did think that, to be honest. I like the fact that the community has got somewhere to go if they want to hang out together. I like the fact that you know, on a Wednesday, like, you can go and I understand, you know. I think the community likes to just hang out together. And I know there are other places that people can go, and that is absolutely fine. Of course it is. Everyone's got free choice to go wherever they want to go. But I know that the large parts of the community would like to share their thoughts with other members of the community and whatnot. So, yeah, and I was happy to jump in. And as I said, I only heard him talk about it yesterday, so... But don't forget, he will be, not me, it will be him. He will be live on Sunday. Tommy Toy Travels, doing his Revolution watch-along. We did, I thought, a really good breakdown of it, you know. I was really impressed. I think it's the longest we've ever spoke about wrestling on the Wrestling Escape Pods. I was stunned. Right, we are underway with Kris Statlander and Skye Blue. Skye Blue has come down with Julia Hart, so she's on the outside, whereas Willow is on the outside with Stokely Hathaway for Kris Statlander. Don't think this will be a long match. I'd imagine that Jericho and Atlantis will get a bit of time, and obviously we need time for Sting. Kip up by Kris Statlander. Skye Blue comes over, grabs her by the hair. Down goes Statlander. Kip up again by Statlander. Statlander grabs the hair of Skye Blue, goes over, comes crashing down on Skye Blue, looks for the cover. 2, shoulder up there by Skye Blue. Statlander on her knees, getting back up to her feet. There's Willow. Having a few words with Julia Hart. Chop coming in there by... Statlander. We got Skye Blue against the ropes. Goes over the other side. Duck underneath. Skye Blue. Round the houses. Goes down. Backbreaker. Side slam. No, she just chucks. Statlander had Skye Blue here. I thought we were going into a backbreaker or we were going to go into a side slam. Instead, she was like... Ugh. She just threw her across the ring. Back elbow there by Kris Statlander. We haven't had anything to do with Toni Storm so far, or Deonna Purrazzo, which I'm really surprised at. Perhaps they've been doing a lot in recent weeks, but I was hoping for a little summit, you know. Kris Statlander on the outside as Skye Blue grabs her hair. Big right hand there by Statlander. She grabs Skye Blue. Look at that. Yeah, man. Oh, straight into the front row. Can you believe it? Those poor people. Those poor people. They bought a ticket and they've all been injured. You can't do that. You can't do that. They've paid their hard-earned money. You've just thrown a girl on top of them. Well, she gets suspended for that, surely. Surely. That's a straight suspension. That's what did he just say? That's a ringside moment they'll never forget. Yeah, because they'll be in hospital. Crossbody there by Skye Blue. Well, that's it. You won't see Statlander now for 6 months. That's a straight suspension. Those poor people. Those poor, jacked, wrestling-looking people. On a positive note, Revolution this weekend is at 16,000. Great showing for Sting. Definitely. Definitely. I mean, if that doesn't show you the love for Sting, what the flip will? They've got 6,000 tickets sold, 6 whatever it was. Big Time just mentioned for Big Business. But for Sting's final Dynamite, for his final match, 16,000. Oh my God. Boot to the face. Did you see the clip I've tagged you in a few weeks ago of Toni getting her tattoo removed? I did, yeah, brilliant. Well, it wasn't removed, was it? It was like altered. So it had like some sort of, I don't know what it was, like a little bear or something, and then she's had a dagger put through it. That was kind of clever. It was a fun little clip, that, actually. Kyle said, I deserve to be timed out for the delusional things that I'm saying. Right. In the ring, we got shots coming in. Sky Blue with Kris Statlander. Statlander goes down. How long we got? We got 35 minutes. Jericho, Atlantis, and of course, Sting. It's Sting. He's going to do that, isn't he? He's only got a few more opportunities to do that. It's Sting. Sky Blue is in the middle of the ring. Going over. This is really slowed again. I think we might be at commercial break. This is my concern for the network, for Netflix with WWE, that the same will happen there. Sky Blue has got Statlander in the corner, throws in a chop. Boot to the face at the moment. And Sky Blue blows a kiss to the camera and walks away. They've paid extra money for those seats. Days, what are your thoughts on Naomi's run? For me, it's been a bit flat. It's the same character. There's no evolution. I think it's a little bit early to tell. She only came back like 4 weeks ago. So a little bit early to tell. But yeah, I mean, we have changed her music. We have changed her entrance graphics. But clearly still the same vibe. I think a lot of people would like to see her go into maybe Bloodline. I keep seeing a lot of people proposing different ways of achieving that. I think that she's a veteran. She's someone that I think, you know, was not treated right the last time she was here. And I'll be very interested to see how she's treated after WrestleMania. Because, in all fairness, I don't know when the deal was done to bring her in. She was brought in at Rumble, and I don't know if we've got a plan for her for WrestleMania. She'll get into something somewhere. We'll put her in a tag team, or she'll go in the Women's Battle Royal, or she'll be in a showcase match, or we'll do something with her, right? I've no doubt about that. But I am going to allow them to do whatever they're doing for WrestleMania, because you can understand WrestleMania is so big, so important. You can sort of understand their focus is on getting that right and delivering that. I can totally understand that. So if we don't quite have a plan for Naomi right now, okay, I can live with it, right? But I will look at where we are with her after WrestleMania. What's the plan for after? There's no excuse then. There's no excuse for after WrestleMania, because Triple H tends to book in 3-month like blocks. So at the start of the year, he will have had an idea as to what WrestleMania will look like. Might not be concrete, but he'll have a rough idea at the start of the year. And so Naomi may not have featured in those plans. So yeah, it feels a bit samey. I can't say we've really done or changed a great deal. Because of the time of the year, I can sort of let them off. But we'll see where we get to once we're past WrestleMania. And we'll see what she kind of features in then. Sky Blue on the outside. I think we can't push everyone at once. Tiffany is clearly the most over at the moment, followed by Jade. It's likely they'll focus on them first. So I see Naomi fans being mad soon. Oh, into the ring steps goes Kris Statlander. Cheeks are back on said 7. Oh, there's cheeks everywhere. Sky Blue, I mean, you're guaranteed to get cheeks. Oof. With super kick coming in. Guaranteed to get cheeks in Sky Blue match. 1, 2, kick out. Where is Aubrey? Says David. David, you are literally the only person that has asked that question. I don't know that anyone else tonight has asked that question. So, well done. Well done for asking a very unique question. Oof. Sky Blue gets hurt. This match has already gone longer than I thought, you know. She's got her up and, driver, plant Sky Blue down, going for the cover. 1, 2. Oh, Sky Blue kicks out. Sky Blue kicks out. Kris Statlander can't believe it. What's this? Stokely's like, here, use this chain. And Willow's like, no, don't use the chain. There's a distraction. Big boot there by Statlander. Sky Blue coming up. Misses with the kick. Julia Hart comes in. Hits Statlander with the belt. And 1, 2, 3. Sky Blue pins Statlander. Referee was distracted, and Julia Hart nailed her with that belt. Look at the look from Willow. Not impressed with Stokely and his antics. Oh dear. Should have used the chain, said Alexa. Maxine having everyone rallied up over fans booing her in random house show. I saw clips of her from recent Raws and it's a tough watch, says Big Time. Sky Blue picking up the victory. No one gave a shiz about Roman being booed for 5 years, but everyone is worried about Maxine. Move of the night. So there we go. We got Julia with the belt. Going up the entrance ramp with Sky Blue. And coming up next, we should have Jericho. Right. Bucks are looking for Sting. Come here. Come here. See this? We found a room. It's got Sting. Did you see the Sting interview? He seemed a bit out of his mind. Okay, they're saying there's a red light. There's bats dangling away in the room. What is this? What's that? Like something from a weird comedy show. So he's like, listen, before we go in, did you see the interview last week? It was a bit strange, wasn't it? Like, if there's one thing we know about, for sure, about Sting, it's nothing's for sure. They open it, there's like a really lame red light. It's not even like a dark red light. It's a lovely ambience, actually. It's a lovely glowing red light that gives the room a bit of warmth. It's lovely. And then we've just got like loads of bats dangling from the ceiling in a very unmenacing fashion. And then I think Nick even was like, God damn. And he swung and hit the chair, right? But the chair was a metal chair. So it just went clunk. And that was it. That's all it did. I thought he might like smash a table in anger or smash a vase or do something. But instead he hit this metal chair. It went dunk, like that. And that was it. Then you get Matt Jackson staring at a mirror, and we look at Matt Jackson in the mirror, and he's like, and that was it. That was the end of the thing. Someone somewhere thought that was a good idea. Someone somewhere planned that out. Someone somewhere had to hang all them bats up. I feel like we could have done something so much better than that. I feel like we could have done something a lot better tonight. You know, even if it was interviewing Darby, asking like, Darby, can we get a word with Sting? And Darby's like, no, you can. This is a really emotional time for Sting right now, so you can't talk to him. But and you know, we could have kept going back to Darby. We could have done something along those lines. If you don't want to show Sting, I can understand that. But could we have not have shown some of his best moments from previous Dynamite throughout tonight? Could we have not spoken to people and asked them what Sting meant to them throughout tonight? Couldn't we have gone to different people backstage and they could have shared their favourite stories about Sting? Instead, we got the Bucks going into a lovely looking ambient room. So, yeah, I've got to say that was a misstep, but it was all of a minute long, so it doesn't matter. But we still have not seen Sting. I'm not down on that. I'm not down on not seeing Sting. I do like the idea of asking people their favourite Sting moments, though. I do like that. That would have been cool to have gone backstage, grabbed people, and just said, like, you know, can you share your favourite Sting memories? Perhaps we would have got some stories that we had not heard of, you know? Right, here we go then. It is Lionheart Chris Jericho. He's making his way down to the ring, and he is going to be taking on... I'm looking forward to this. I have never seen Atlantis Jr. So let's see what he can bring. We could have asked each bat what Sting meant to them. Hey, do you know what? Those bats could have had names on. They could have represented everyone that he has defeated in AEW. That would have been a bit more interesting if we'd have looked at them. And then there's a bat that's got their names on. You know, could have done something like that. But no. Instead, we have to hit a metal chair that didn't do anything and just went... Ding! Right, here is the Lionheart, Chris Jericho. Jericho in the ring. Here's Atlantis Jr. CMLL. Atlantis Jr. From Mexico City, Mexico. What belt's he got on? World Historic Light Heavyweight Champion. Oh, is that Atlantis Sr, is it? Not a bad looking belt. It's got a lovely size. I like belts that have got good faceplate sizes to them, you know? I feel like too many belts in this day and age. They're too small. Like, you want something that's got a bit of size to it. There's not many belts that have got a good size to the front faceplate. But that one's got a nice size to it. In the ring, not enough capes in wrestling as well. I'd like to see a good cape. Okay. It's not the kind of music I was expecting to come out to, either. Don't hate it, but I wanted to see that belt a little more. Oh, here she is. Dave, look, here she is. Right, he put his hand out there, but Jericho just slaps him in the face. Now they're exchanging shots in the middle of the ring. Knee to the midsection by Jericho. Chop coming in by Jericho. Atlantis Jr. against the ropes. Jericho over the other side. Atlantis Jr. goes over the top. Against the ropes again. Drop kick there by Atlantis Jr. Now we've got Atlantis Jr. charging over. He gets picked up and put to the outside. Forearm strike there by Jericho. Top rope enziguri by Atlantis Jr. Jericho coming over. And big crossbody by Atlantis Jr. Jericho, kick to the midsection. Forearm strike coming in again as Jericho goes over into the corner. Atlantis charging in. He's over by Jericho. And he's trying to get the crowd involved. Jericho flipped over. Jericho over the other side as Atlantis comes over. Atlantis is the one that's doing all the work here at the moment. Jericho goes over the other side and he goes over to the other corner. Atlantis charges over again. Third time's a charm, but Jericho pushes him off. Grabs him, turns him over, looking for the walls. Looking for the walls of Jericho, but Atlantis straight over to the ropes. Jericho having to break the holds. Shots coming in by Jericho, and it looked like he was going for the mask, was he? Yeah, it looks like he is pulling on that mask. He is trying to get the mask off, but forearms coming in, elbows coming in there by Atlantis, and he's kicking Jericho off. Aubrey's tightening the mask, but actually Atlantis Sr. has got the towel around the neck of Jericho. Crowd are very quiet for this. You get the vibe the crowd are really not into this CMLL stuff. Jericho on the outside as Atlantis goes through the ropes. Suicide dive. But Atlantis needs not speak so loudly, said Mitchell. Over into the corner. Down goes Jericho. Why are we watching this, said Mr. Cardinal. Well, we're watching it because Tommy Toy Travels couldn't cover it tonight. He did say that I need to make out that we're taking over and we're going to start a war. So let's just say that we have been saying that. If he asks any of you, then just say all night, all we were saying was how we are taking AEW back. We're going to sabotage his streams. That's all we've spoke about all night. I mean, we haven't because there's other things to talk about, but we'll just tell him that we did. And in regards to why we watch him, we're watching for that reason, but also coming up next, Sting. Do you know what? This is Sting's his final TV sort of segment as a competitor. I mean, that is history, in it. Atlantis Jr. is struggling a bit here. He just got hurled into some steps. I'm sure that Sting will be on TV after Sunday. But he will no longer be an active competitor. Jericho throwing Atlantis back into the ring. Jim said, I used to watch some CMLL, and it has some of the most boring commentary. Oh, really? Jim, shout out to you. Mitchell said, Days, we don't have any idea who these guys are. Okay. Chop coming in there by Jericho. See, it's kind of funny because I'm looking at it going, oh, I don't know who this person is, but, you know, there's a bit of backstory there, there's a bit of history there. But I could appreciate that for those that watch regular, you're probably like, come on, we could have built this better. We could have done more here. To me, I know I'm coming in and I've missed out on everything, you know, so to me, it's not a problem. Excalibur said, for those that don't know about Atlantis, Atlantis was one of the most popular luchas of his generation, especially with the children. What does that mean? Well, I don't know. I'd be bragging about that. I don't know why Tony Khan wants other wrestling companies' wrestlers to fight his lot wins. Days, Cody finishes the story. What next? Well, I spoke to someone about this. Someone, I think it was in my comments, said, like, I don't want him to finish the story because why do we want Cody's story to be finished? It's like, no, we're finishing one story. Like, we can start another story. I think, if you think about it this way, Cody has had his whole career burdened with the weight of having promised his dad, I will win that belt for you. And Cody has had to work his whole career to try and get to the point where he wins that belt. And, you know, it must have been pretty dark at times when he was Stardust and a million miles away from the main event scene. So I think that Cody having the burden of needing to finish the story so that he keeps his word to his dad, that has got to have had an effect on Cody's mentality, you know, who he is. What does a Cody Rhodes without that burden look like? What does a Cody Rhodes that's just wrestling for Cody Rhodes look like? What does a Cody Rhodes that has completed the biggest mission of his life, what does that Cody Rhodes look like? I think it's really interesting what a post completed story Cody Rhodes looks like. I think, you know, will there be a freedom that we won't have seen before? You know? Because now he's doing it for him. It's not about trying to work towards finishing a story. Now he's doing it for him. You know, and the idea that the last thing he's going to do is just win the title and finish the story. I think you're really missing out on what could be a very interesting chapter after. A very, very interesting chapter. I think there's a lot to dig into after the story is finished. And I would love to see Cody sort of trying to figure that out himself. If you've spent your whole life working towards something and then you achieve it, what then? Yeah, as everyone says, well, what next? What comes after that? But is that not super interesting? Like, is that not super captivating, super engaging, super, you know, well, interesting, I suppose the word. There is another word I was looking for and I couldn't find it. I would definitely... Oh! Atlantis, and it's like a face buster off the top there by Jericho. He just grabbed his head off the top. Hurled Atlantis Jr. face first. That was a nasty landing. Was that meant to go that way? Is that a move that he actually wanted to perform? Because it looked horrific. I mean, thankfully Atlantis is okay, but yeah, I don't know. People are like, what was that? An avalanche facebuster? But I don't know, yeah. I don't know what you would call it. A botch. I mean, like, I think he meant it. He grabbed his head and then jumped. And what else would he be going for? Oof. You can hear a pin drop, said Jumping Jack. That is true. The crowd are not into this. You know, they've tried summer. It's not worked. Against the ropes, over the top. Comes down onto Jericho. Atlantis trying to get back up. The match has been okay. Jericho trying to get back up to his feet. Atlantis getting up to his feet as well. Jericho thrown back into the ring. Cody without stories won't be the same. It won't be must-see TV. I disagree. I think it will be. I think it will be must-see because what comes next? You know, that is a valid question. And I think that once he finishes the story, there will be a lot of people that will see it as job done. You are then going to have to quickly establish a new goal for him. You are going to have to quickly figure out what's next. But I, for one, would be very interested to see what they do after that and how he carries himself and... you know, what a Cody without the burden of the story looks like. I agree with you that everyone's like story. Once the story's complete, a lot of people will see it as like job done. But that should in no way be a reason for us to keep delaying the story being completed. There are other things that can be done with Cody. There are other stories that can be told. It's just that this is a big one, and, you know, it's took him 40-odd years to deliver it, you know, to complete it. But this is where creative are going to have to earn their money. I would feel confident that we could book something in this community that would be captivating for Cody as champion. I feel very confident in that. We've seen enough wrestling collectively. We've seen enough interesting title reigns. We've seen enough wrestling from, you know, multiple different promotions whereby we can come up with some interesting storylines so that a captivating Cody title reign would not be, a disappointment. And I'd have to think that WWE Creative are going to be able to do the same as well. So I've got confidence. I think finish the story. And I've got confidence that Triple H will have something planned. Towel was thrown in by Atlantis. Jericho teases that he was going to nail Atlantis Sr. He goes Jericho over to check on Atlantis Jr. He pushes Atlantis away. What are we doing? I don't know what we're doing. I feel like he's about to turn on him. I feel like Jericho's about to nail someone. Jericho in the middle is holding up both the arms of Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. Atlantis Jr. goes down to his knees. These two are... what is Atlantis saying? And they embrace. Camera's been on these quite a while. We've only got 8 minutes left to go. All right, no turn. I really expected a turn. I thought the camera was on them so long that something was going to go down. I thought a low blow or something because the camera was on it so long. You was just waiting for someone to turn on someone to do something. And they didn't. Right. Thoughts on Rhea's title reign? She's been feuding with Zoe, Shayna, Natalya, Nia, Ivy, Maxine, Zelina. Becky is her first real opponent. Yeah, I think they've tried to use it to kind of build up a few women and show off a few of those rising stars. I mean, I think Triple H purposefully moved a lot of the big names to SmackDown so that a lot of those names that need to establish themselves have got room for TV time. So it can't be a coincidence that Charlotte, Bianca, Asuka, Bayley, Io, like all over on SmackDown, leaving Rhea, Becky, and really no one else. You know, Liv's been injured. Nia Jax was brought back. Don't forget, she wasn't even in the company. We brought Nia Jax back and put her on Raw. So I think that they did it on purpose to give room for those women to grow and like establish themselves. I think you can maybe argue it's not worked for various different reasons, but yeah, I don't disagree. I think we've tried to build up some women. I don't know that those women have actually been built, but again, a little bit of that kind of what I just said about AEW and CMLL. It's not worked, but you give them credit for giving it a go, you know? Like that could have worked, that relationship with CMLL. Crowds could have got into the wrestlers and enjoyed the relationship, but just judging by that one bit that I've seen there, it doesn't look like people are on board or really care about it. But, you know, fair play for trying. And probably the same thing with that women's division. You know, I think I can see what they've tried to do. I don't think it's worked, but, you know, they've given it a go. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson are making their way down. The imbalance is another thing that makes new talent struggle. How many times have we had women's tag match on Raw to a dead crowd and no one is getting over? I think they probably need to just get behind some people, don't they? I think that it is... I think that they need to get behind some people and build. I think part of the issue was that they were going to build Raquel. Raquel was someone that they had highlighted as really bringing through, and she's had injury. I wouldn't be surprised if Liv was someone that they were going to look to really get behind, and she's had injury. So what it's meant is that the women that are a little bit lower down the pecking order, if you will, all of a sudden now they are... There's Darby. He was in the crowds. Those people that are a little bit down the pecking order, they've had to step up, and they've had opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have got. But I think we've definitely used it as a way to try and show off some of these people as well. But you've got to stick with them. You've got to, you know, not do 50-50 booking. You've got to really try and build some people. Vignettes. And it's one of those where you can't really push everybody. You can't push everybody because then no one gets over. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely lessons learned. I think there's definitely... things that if they could go back, they would change and they would do different. And I don't think that Rhea's female title run has been that captivating as a result. I agree. But I think we can agree that with Liv back, with Raquel back, with Rhea and Becky, it's in a much better place right now, you know? I think it's in a much better place right now. Right, final segment. Then we got 4 minutes and a short overrun. Darby was in the crowd wearing a Sting mask. He's now being beaten up. So we're waiting for Sting to make his way down. Darby is down in the ring. Young Bucks are waiting for Sting to make his way down. The Nature Boy is coming down first. Wings! Look at him smile on his face. He's like, oh, he doesn't care that Darby's just been attacked. Here's Ric Flair, smile on his face, strutting his way down. They're still attacking Darby in the ring. Ric Flair's like, da, da. Look at Darby. Darby's being choked. Darby's being choked, and the Nature Boy takes the thumbs up. Is he with them or something? He's looking very happy. He's obviously done some sort of turnaruski. Did they not do a... What's this? What's going on? I didn't know he had turned. He's got a baseball bat. He throws a shot, and again, Ric Flair is taking out the Bucks. He's obviously done a turn. Oh, has he? Is that obvious, is it? Right, now they're beating up old man Ric Flair. Why didn't they just have Ric Flair coming down, pleading that they leave Darby alone, and then have him attack Ric Flair? Why didn't they just do that? What was the point in that? He's obviously turned! What was the point in that? Right, here's Sting. It's Sting! Lol, said Jumpin' Jeff. Okay, they're going up the entranceway. They've been waiting for Sting. Okay, so we're looking at the Young Bucks. Where's he going to come from? Oh, from the heavens! Oh, my God, that's cool. Sting is being lowered down from the ceiling of the arena. Damn, that's pretty sick, isn't it? That's pretty sick. Let's go. That's pretty sick. It's going to take him half an hour to unhook him, though. There he is. I wonder if it was him. Do you reckon it was him, or was that a stuntman? I think the crowd, if it was not actually him that just got lowered, I think the crowd would know, but... So I'm guessing it was him. But they did cut away. It was all attached and everything. The camera does cut away. When it cuts back, obviously he's not attached anymore. Crowd are chanting for Sting. Sting in the ring. Coming down from the rafters. Ric Flair in the corner. Sting in the middle of the Scorpion Death Drop. So Scorpion Death Drop. I think it was Sting. He's got the... You can see the harness on, actually. Wow. Lowering old people down from the ceiling. Bring him down. Pull him back up. Imagine if Sting was like going up and down on the rope. Oh, he's not going to talk. Shut up. Shut up. He's not going to say a word. We're not going to give him the microphone. We got Darby, we got Sting, we got Ric Flair in the ring, we got the Young Bucks going back up the entranceway. Fans, we've got such a huge weekend of action. It's Sting! The icon Sting from the rafters. Yeah, that was cool. It was cool. I can't believe that we've waited all that time for Sting's final TV moment. And he must say something after it goes off the air. There must be something that he says to the crowd. But we just don't get to watch it. Yeah. Makes you think of Sideshow, bub. Put in your scores. What did you think about that then? Did you like it? Did you hate it? How did you rate it? What did you think of the show? What did you think of the show? Is the show over? The show is over, yes. It is done. That was this week's AEW. Don't forget that on Sunday, Revolution, we will not be covering it, but I will put a link to Tommy's thing on the channel. But you can find it on Tommy Toy Travels thing anyway. So you can go over there and enjoy all the action. Enjoy Sting's last match as we say goodbye to an absolute icon. I've said before, icon's just not big enough. It's just not big enough of a word. 475 said Shaquem. 10 out of 10 said Frederick. 2, it was disappointing, said that's what she said. Travis said I'm giving it a 3. Dro said the show is over. Was that it for Sting on that? That was it. That was it. You'll have to do an unseen of AEW. Say, yeah, that's true, yeah. Here's what you didn't see. Here's the promo that you didn't see. Danny D said 625. Wasn't a fan. 5 said Hawkins Jr. El Leon said, you're all forgetting this is a B wrestling promotion. Unseen. Get it in there. Virgil passed away. He did. Horrific. I know he'd been battling health problems. I'd seen reports of that anyway. But, you know, 61? I mean, it's no age, man. Really, in this day and age, get passing away in your early 60s. I mean, it's no age. Life expectancy, is it not like about 77 for a guy? So, you know, horrible. I mean, I know that he's still lived a life, but yeah, horrible. And you know, I was gonna tweet out the picture of him sat there by himself at the fan convention, because when you think of Virgil, I think you can't help but think of that image, or I can't help but think of that image. I didn't do it because I was going to tweet it out with a message of, I bet the queue is longer in heaven, or something like that, you know, something really nice, you know, or I bet people wish they had met Virgil now, you know. So I was going to do something, but I thought, nah, people might take it the wrong way. So I didn't put that out there. But there is a famous image of Virgil sat at a convention, massive banner that says, like, Virgil, wrestling superstar, and there's no one meeting him. And, you know, it was... I don't know that people saw it as sad at the time. People, I think, saw it as a bit funny. But now you look at it and it's sad. Now you look at it and you're like, oh, that, you know. He was someone that really provided some big moments for WWF. I mean, that moment where he turns on the $1 Million Man. And the moment where he has the match and competes for the $1 Million Championship. You know, I remember that match where Rowdy Roddy Piper on commentary for that match. He is just, if you've never seen it or you've not seen it for a long time, go back and watch $1 Million Man Virgil. Rowdy Roddy Piper is on commentary and he is just spitting anger about the $1 Million Man and like, come on, Virgil, you can think of all the abuse, Virgil. He's like so behind Virgil. He's so like, come on, Virgil. Oh, man, it really adds to it. Really adds. It's brilliant. Brilliant from Rowdy Roddy Piper on commentary. Really getting behind Virgil. Really added to the match. And I think everyone could relate to Virgil. Do you know, in a way, Virgil was like an OG Stone Cold. Because Stone Cold like stood up to his boss. Stood up to... Vince McMahon, and that moment where Virgil turns on the $1 Million Man, I'm not going to take your abuse anymore, and then, like, you know, has a match with the $1 Million Man for the $1 Million Championship. Like, people could relate to that. It was just like Stone Cold, where people could relate to Stone Cold. Obviously, massive differences between the two as well, but you get my point. Similar in that regard, where he was standing up for himself. He was standing up against his boss. And it's funny that was like a good, 7 years before we actually got the Stone Cold stuff? Before we got like the proper Attitude Era. Because I'm sure that feud was 91 between Virgil and the $1 Million Man. And obviously around 97, 98 in particular is where things really cook for the Attitude Era. So, yeah, this is, you know, it's just that he couldn't kick on past it. Once he got past that $1 Million Man feuds, there wasn't really anything more for him. And so, you know, he sort of just bobbed around in the mid-card. They really needed, like, a red-hot program lined up for Virgil after the $1 Million Man thing, you know? They really did need, like, something, like, lined up and good for him. And they just didn't really have anything. And so he just sort of got lost in the mid-card and then sort of started jobbing. And I think by 1994 he's gone. And then obviously he goes to WCW, where he's Vincent. But really nothing recaptures how amazing it was when he was with the $1 Million Man. That's clearly the peak of his career. And then obviously after his career ends, he does the fan conventions. People do go and see him, but as time goes by, you know, you're less and less popular, I suppose. You're more in the past, you're further, your prime. The more you get away from your peak, the more you get away from your prime, the more the other people come along and get attention instead. So then you get the famous picture of no one queuing up to meet him and everything. So heartbreaking. He's one of those losses where, you know, there was only so many Hasbro figures that got made. Only so many different characters in that original Hasbro line. And that was the line that I first got, like, from a toy point of view. And one of those figures is Virgil. You can get a Hasbro Virgil. So you know, those Hasbro characters that I used to spend hours and hours and hours playing with as a kid, all of those mean something to me. If you had a Hasbro figure, then you had a massive part in my childhood. I don't care if you're Nails. I don't care if you're the Big Boss Man. Don't care if you're Sergeant Slaughter, Tito Santana. Don't care if you're Papa Shango. Obviously, Undertaker, you know, the Rockers, Legion of Doom, Bushwhackers, you know, all of those amazing superstars from that time period. But one of those Hasbros that I would play with would be Virgil. And, yeah, just an amazing story, an amazing character. Shame we couldn't follow it up. and someone that obviously has just kind of been on the fringes of the wrestling world for quite a long time and now has lost his battle with health. So, yeah, I gotta tell you, man, that one is one that does really, really suck. Really, really suck. Whenever we lose someone from that era, it really, really sucks because that is an era that I have such a strong connection with. And it was a sad loss. It definitely was. Even though he might not have been the biggest superstar and he might not have had the most achievements in the world. It doesn't matter, does it? It really doesn't matter. It's more about what they mean to you. It's more about your feelings and your connections with those superstars. And that was one that I had a very, very close connection with. That was one that was right in my wheelhouse. That was right in the era that I loved the most. And he was a big character at that time. So, yeah, definitely one that I am sad about. Very sad about. Hasib said, is it me or is Rick getting annoying? Just leave. You can't move. Well, I mean, look, Rick is a legend, right? He is one of the biggest names in the history of wrestling. And what I'm going to say is we've just spoke about Virgil and how people didn't go to see him at those conventions. And, he was nowhere near the size of a Ric Flair. So what I would say is it's hard for me to be down on Rick because Rick is... We don't know how long we've got him for, and he is undeniably one of the most important people in the history of wrestling, right? So, whilst you've got Ric Flair, I would say just enjoy seeing him. Just enjoy the fact that you're getting to see someone that will be spoken about. Your grandkids will talk about Ric Flair, right? He is a very, very important part in the history of wrestling. So for me, I can't but help but see that guy. I can't help see the guy that won the 92 Royal Rumble. I can't help see the guy that main evented the first Arcade and held countless championships in countless promotions. And do you know what I mean? Like he to me is an absolute wrestling legend. It doesn't mean that you're wrong though. I think that, him coming down and doing what he did, he must have turned. You look at that and go, what are you on about? I wish that Rick would just come down, say a few words, be backstage. And I don't think he plays the role of being a retired legend very well. He's not very good. He always wants to get involved, doesn't he? And I think that's the problem. He can't not be involved. He always wants to be involved. And I think that if he could play the role of the 70-year-old retired wrestler better, I think people would find him more palatable. I think people would find him more acceptable. But he just doesn't play that role well at all. He just cannot stay out the ring. He cannot not be physically involved. Which is kind of cool in one regard, that he's still got that passion. There's someone there that just cannot leave wrestling. He is wrestling, and you sort of have to respect that. But then equally, is it resulting in good segments and good moments? Probably not at this stage of his career, no. So I don't think you're wrong. I think it's just hard to still not see 80s Ric Flair, Four Horsemen Ric Flair, Royal Rumble winning Ric Flair, Evolution. I mean, he has done so much in his career. He has done so much. So I saw him coming down there, and I didn't think to myself or see someone that I was like, oh, what's this? Don't need you or whatever. I still see Ric Flair. But yeah, he definitely doesn't need to be doing what he's doing. Definitely doesn't need to be doing what he's doing. I agree with you on that. Why does he have to be physical, said Asib? Yeah, I completely agree. He can't leave it alone. He can't leave it alone. Kashawn said, Days, you're doing Dynamite watch-alongs again. What do you rate the show? I'm not. This was 1 week only. A one-off. An exception, right? Absolutely, we are not back doing AEW Dynamite. It's just that the person that normally does them is Tommy Toy Travels. That's where a lot of the community like to go and hang out. He could not do this week. So he couldn't do this week. So, no, we don't, we're not back doing them. It's just he couldn't do this week. So I thought, well, do it. Sting's last Dynamite. It was just a happy coincidence. I would have done it even if it wasn't Sting's last Dynamite, and just fill in, really. I think if it was a normal week, I probably wouldn't have been too bothered, but I think this is the go-home for AEW Revolution. It's the go-home show. I think that if there is a bit of a buzz that's building, it's got to be around this time, because it's Sting's last match on Sunday. So we know that they've sold, 16,000 tickets. So clearly there's a massive interest at the moment in, if nothing else, Sting's last match. And we know just after that we've got Mercedes coming in, Okada coming in, Ospreay made his first appearance tonight. So, there's something happening at the moment in AEW. The show tonight, I would say, was probably about a 5 for me. I think that... I think the in-ring was a bit of a problem, actually. I kind of felt the Jericho Atlantis match was... never really grabbed my attention. I think the 6-man tag match, it felt like it went long. I wouldn't mind that match being that long if it really meant something. If that match was like the blow-off match for this massive feud, then I wouldn't have minded the match going as long as what it did. But it was not that. That match is a match to kind of basically showcase 2 matches that are coming this weekend. So I just needed really that match to be a bit shorter. I think it outstayed its welcome for me. I think there was way too much brawling on the outside. There was a lot of just... I don't know, there was just a lot of stuff in the match, and it, I think, could have been tighter. I think it could have been more captivating. Doing move. That's not something that appeals to me, but it does appeal to other people. So that opening match, I would say, might have been the best match. I mean, I'm trying to think what other matches we had tonight that might have rivaled it. But it was still a match which was flawed, in my opinion. Still a match that I could have shaved a good chunk of time off and had less brawling on the outsides. I can understand people going like, where was the ref, Because there was lots of occasions where it's just he loses control, basically. But, it is what it is. We've seen enough AEW to know what you're going to be getting, and you're going to be getting stuff like that. Orange Cassidy match, Orange Cassidy, Nick Wayne, that ain't going to do it for me. I'm not an Orange Cassidy fan. Statlander, Skye Blue was all right. It was okay. Had some moments. The Jericho match, it was okay. Had some. I feel like the in-ring was actually lacking, which, considering that AEW prides itself on in-ring, I would say that was an area that was weak for me tonight. I didn't mind the Samoa Joe Open. I'd definitely give it some points for that. I didn't mind the Ospreay moment. That's the bit I was trying to think. I was like, there was a moment in the middle I enjoyed. Ospreay. So Samoa Joe Open was fine. Ospreay in the middle was fine. Sting coming down from the rafters at the end was good. I reckon there was Summit in the matches, right? So I reckon I'm about, and I think actually because maybe part of it was because I don't normally watch, but also I was not finding myself getting bored. I was like quite happy with what I was watching. So I'm going to be about a 5. Maybe it's a 4.5. Maybe it's a 4.5 to a 5, but I'm definitely around that area. It's not a 7, right? But again, that in-ring might have appealed. People might have just loved. I mean, there was "This Is Awesome" chants during that first match, so there might have been people that absolutely loved that. There might have been people that loved the main event. There might have been people that loved Orange Cassidy, Nick Wayne, and for them, their scores will be a lot higher. But for me, the matches were not quite what I would be looking for. So, yeah, go home. It is what it is. I actually think Ospreay Takeshita looks good this weekend. I think that Samoa Joe, Swerve, Hangman, I'm sure will deliver. Disappointed we didn't get anything for Tony Storm tonight. Would have liked something for Tony Storm. Tony Storm Deonna this weekend, I think, will be good. I think there's a few matches this weekend. And of course, Sting's last match. So I reckon if you're on the fence about Revolution, I think you could probably buy it with confidence. I'm not really on the fence. At the moment, I think the Ospreay Takeshita match looks good. Toni Storm is someone that I will always enjoy watching, but I don't need to buy a pay-per-view to watch her. And honestly, I think Sting's last moment for me, it'll be all over social media moments after. If you're on the fence and you're like, will I, won't I? I'd say go for it. But for me, I'm not quite at that point. I feel pretty comfortable that I probably won't be watching, but I will almost certainly be listening to Tommy Toy Travels. Right, sounds like Jericho forced his way into a Meat Madness match, or Tony has forced him in. Yeah, there was talk, wasn't there, that there was some change to that Meat Madness. Ethan said 6.5. I feel like AEW are on their way up at the moment. Tony just needs to do more. A. Jobson said Sting's final Dynamite was about 3 minutes. No final promo or video packages like Edge got ? Days WWE did a conference call on Tuesday. They said they don't know where Raw is going to be. Yeah, I did see that. We put it in unseen. So they'll figure it out, won't they? Days, surely you do big business for Mercedes. I'm dying to see Raw emotion and reaction, a one-off stream because it's Mercedes. No, we don't do it. It's Tommy's. If we did it, I'd be stepping on Tommy's toes. I don't want to do that. I will probably do a video that talks about... her coming in, what happened, who she targeted. You know, there'll be a video that goes out. But no, definitely, 100% no watch along. The budget AEW has got is too big for the audience that they are feeding. It's an expensive roster with barely any money being made, said A. Jobson. Trent said, my opinion is if you're ever going to use a VPN to buy a pay-per-view for cheaper, then this would be the one. Are we getting unseen? We are, yeah. I'm just reading a few comments and then I'm going to run off and start doing unseen. So, yep, unseen tonight, of course. It'll probably, it is because obviously the time I would have spent getting unseen together is time I've just spent doing this instead. So it will be delayed. What I've noticed though is I think we're actually really, really good at getting the stories that kind of go big the next day, the night before. So, for example, a lot of people talking today about Maxine. It was already in yesterday's Unseen. We've already covered it. And I've had people tagging me in things today that were in last night's Unseen. And that has happened. I've said before, I have people tagging me the next day in things that were in the last Unseen video. And that happens every single day. I've been tagged in Michael Cole was in Yugoslavia, and a picture of Michael, it was in last night's Unseen. So I know that people are watching Unseen. I don't know if they're just like going to different timestamps and picking the bits they want to watch, which if you're doing, listen, I appreciate the support. Anyone clicking and watching even just one little tiny part of Unseen is greatly appreciated, right? So no complaints from me. But I know they're long and I know they're hard to kind of get through, but I think we are doing a pretty good job of getting like everything into them, because there is just a lot of stuff that tends to blow up the next day that was already mentioned, that we've already covered. So yeah, it will take me time to go through. Obviously, we've dedicated our time to this instead this evening, but I will sit down and go through and catch up with Unseen and get it out. But it'll take at least a couple of hours. But you know, if you go to bed, it will for you in the morning. Jim said you should join Triple T for his watch along. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that. I don't know what I'm doing on Sunday. I don't think I'm doing anything, to be honest. I think I am just working on Unseen. So I don't know. If he wants to ship me in for that bit, I will. I said ship. If he wants to ship me in for that bit, I would be open to it. But it's his stream, man. It's you know what I mean. He does his thing. My internet is not strong enough. I mean, I think we see that at times with the Wrestling Escape Pods. I can sit here and talk to you guys right now but trying to stream some in, certainly, you know, him or a video call while streaming out does result in drama. And thankfully this week we were fine, but the week before we only got like a 37 minute wrestling escape pod. So yeah, it's a bit tricky, honestly, to bring people in with the Wi-Fi that we've got. So, you know, it's his stream, it's his deal, and I just hope everyone has a good time. That's it. I just really hope everyone enjoys it. I don't want it to be a failure. I don't want AEW to go or anything like this. I hope that it works, and I hope everyone enjoys it, and I hope Sting gets from it what he wants, and I hope Tommy's stream goes well, and I just want everything to go good for everyone, you know? So yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely coming back and watching a bit of AEW and catching up on where it is at the moment and getting to see Sting's final normal televised terrestrial TV sort of appearance. Obviously, the next one is pay-per-view. His last one is pay-per-view as an active competitor. So thanks a lot for joining us. I know this was lastminute.com. Appreciate everyone that stopped by. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget, Tommy Toy Travels will be live this Sunday with AEW Revolution. I'm off to do Unseen. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.